You still reach for your phone to text them. Just for a second, before you remember. You expect to hear their key in the door, even though it's been months. Even though it's been years. Everyone tells you it gets easier. That there are stages. That eventually you reach acceptance and move on. But the real answer is far stranger, and it might be the most comforting thing anyone never told you. Grief was never designed to end. It was never supposed to. To understand why, you have to look at what grief actually is, underneath the sadness. Not an emotion malfunctioning. A search. For most of human history, and for millions of years before that, separation from someone you depended on was almost always temporary. A mother wandered a few hundred feet from her child. A mate went hunting and came back by nightfall. When someone you loved disappeared from view, your ancestors' brains didn't assume gone forever. They assumed lost, and started looking. That searching instinct is ancient, older than modern humans themselves. Biologist John Bowlby, who developed attachment theory in the mid-20th century, spent decades studying what happens when a child is separated from a caregiver. He found something that still shows up in grieving adults today. The brain doesn't distinguish clearly between someone who has stepped out of the room and someone who has died. Both trigger the same ancient circuitry. Both say, find them. Do you see what this means? When you catch yourself listening for footsteps that will never come, your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do. Searching for someone who mattered enough to search for. Neuroscientist Mary Frances O'Connor, who has spent years studying the grieving brain at the University of Arizona, found something remarkable using brain scans. In people grieving a loved one, the areas of the brain associated with searching and reward light up when they're shown a photo of the person they lost. Not just sadness. Searching. As if some deep part of the mind still believes that if you just look hard enough, you'll find them again. That's the part almost nobody tells you. Grief isn't only about loss. It's about a search that can never resolve, because the person searched for is not lost. They're gone. And your ancient brain, built for a world where gone almost never meant forever, doesn't have a clean way to file that information. Here's where it gets stranger still. Psychiatrist George Bonanno, who has researched resilience and bereavement for decades at Columbia University, challenged the popular idea that grief moves through fixed stages toward a finish line. His research found something different. Most people don't grieve in a straight line at all. They oscillate, moving between sharp waves of sorrow and ordinary functioning, sometimes within the same hour. There's no evidence of a final stage where the searching simply stops. That's not a flaw in your grieving. That's the entire design. Think about what love actually built inside your brain while that person was alive. Every memory of them is wired into a wide, complex map, tied to their voice, their smell, the specific way they laughed at their own jokes. That map doesn't get deleted when someone dies. It's still there, fully wired, waiting to activate the moment something reminds you of them. A song. A smell of coffee. The particular blue of a jacket you saw on a stranger. That's why grief resurfaces years later without warning. Not because you're regressing. Because the map was never designed to be erased. It was designed to help you find your way back to someone who mattered, and it still tries, even now. Isn't it strange that the very thing that made your relationship real, the depth of connection wired into memory, is the same thing that makes losing them ache indefinitely? Anthropologists studying mourning rituals across cultures have found something almost universal. Nearly every society developed practices, wakes, anniversaries, gravesite visits, ways of speaking to the dead, not to help people forget, but to give the ongoing bond somewhere to go. Some grief researchers call this continuing bonds theory. The goal was never severing the connection. It was finding a new place to keep it. That reframes the whole idea of moving on. You were never supposed to stop loving them enough to stop missing them. You were supposed to find a way to carry that love forward, into a life that no longer includes their physical presence, but still includes them. So when the wave comes back, on their birthday, in a grocery store aisle, at 3 in the morning for no reason at all, that isn't failure. That isn't proof you're stuck. That's an ancient search system, built across millions of years, still doing the only thing it knows how to do for someone who once mattered enough to build a whole map around. Grief was never a problem to solve. It was never something to complete. It was love, still running the ancient program that once helped your ancestors find their way back to each other in the dark. And in its own way, that program is still working. It just can't bring them back. It can only remind you they were real, and that you love them enough for your brain to still be looking. You still reach for your phone to text them. Just for a second, before you remember. And in that second, some ancient part of you isn't grieving at all. It's simply, quietly, still looking for the person it loved.